domain registrars GoDaddy. But what's important here, and he'll tell you the story, but I'm just giving you a boil-down synopsis here, was at first they're like, we don't care, do whatever you want. Very quickly, within a matter of days, as tens of thousands left, something happened. They said, okay, we won't support it now. But the exodus continues. So it's an example of a David versus Goliath. Now, Frederick didn't just put out the emails and the Facebook and the Twitter and the Reddit. He also helped himself, hundreds and hundreds of people over the next few days, begin the initial exodus. So it's another example of the corporate Borg always telling you don't have power. When the system starts violating your rights, or you see different groups doing things like this, you simply need to speak out. Your voice is powerful. If it wasn't, they wouldn't have all these sock puppet programs posing as humans. They wouldn't have all these PR firms manufacturing consent, to use a Noam Chomsky term. So it's just amazing. And I'm proud that Frederick's been a 10-year listener to my syndicated radio show. I can't tell you how many times we see great people across the world standing up for liberty, and they are listeners of our show. But I stand on the shoulders of others that came before me as well. So it is just absolutely fantastic. And we're joined by Frederick via Skype. Frederick, great job. So recap the story, and then let's get into what you've launched is now spurring other movements, people seeing your success. It's giving people confidence.
Yeah, it was really a chain of events. And before we get into it, I just want to stop and say that I may have lit the match, but Reddit, the community, and the people as a whole were really the ones that brought this about. But it was just one person that planted the idea that it just kind of picked up and took off like wild.
Yeah, no, you were the first person to knock over the domino. There was one guy who said slavery was wrong thousands of years ago, and then it took until the last 300 to start eradicating it. But I mean, my point is, it's an example of other people out there like you believing that they have power and knowing they have power.
Yeah, and you know, the thing about it too is they really got under my skin because I'd given them thousands of dollars of business over the years, and I was almost betrayed when I saw that they were the only internet company on that list that supported this bill. And when I called, I got a very blasé response, and it was, we don't care, and have a nice day. And I transferred my domains out, and I put the idea out there and said, hey, we should make December 29th a day where we all move our domains. And what ended up happening was people didn't wait for the day. They just started doing it immediately. And people came into the community, started asking questions. I was there helping them, but many, many other people took the call to help as well. And even some of the other registrars took opportunity and came in and started offering deals for people that were coming off of GoDaddy, and made public statements that they would never support this kind of legislation. And then once that happened, some big names came out. The founder of Wikipedia said that he was going to pull his domains away from GoDaddy. The guy who started the cat movement, he has over 1,000 domains. He said he was going to pull his. Even Ashton Kutcher got on Twitter and started tweeting about it, and he's got 9 million people that follow him. And before all that happened, GoDaddy came out in their very arrogant fashion and said, you know, listen, we got a few emails. The boycott isn't really hurting our bottom line, or, you know, I'm paraphrasing, but something to that effect. And Ars Technica posted it, and it was like throwing kerosene on the fire. All of a sudden, everyone was like, oh, okay, so you don't think we can have an impact? And everyone just, you know, came together as a group and started pushing it out. And one of the things that bothers me today now is we have somebody like Lamar Smith, who started this bill, coming out and saying that, oh, well, it's a very small amount of people and they don't really have any impact and there's no legitimacy to what they're saying. I watched the House Judiciary Committee. I watched this guy try to ramrod the bill through before Christmas time. And as I watched, I just got more and more angry. And I know that it's a technical issue. Most people don't understand the content, but if Facebook and Google and all these other big media or all these other big companies do a blackout as they're threatening, they're going to wake a lot of people up. And I don't know, personally, I think you got the movie industry and the recording industry feeding Congress all of this money, and you don't really have the tech companies lobbying So,
well, that's because the recording industry is trying to use a hammer, to arrange some roses, or they're trying to use a hammer to change a record, on a turntable. They're smashing everything up. It's like the last senator, he's dead now, with Stevens out of Alaska, saying the internet's a bunch of tubes. I mean, they don't know what they're doing. Not only are they trying to censor it and trying to violate due process, but when the 80 inventors of the internet come out and say this is going to screw the internet out, I mean, I've seen one top tier internet company go out and a third of the web you can't get to for a week. When Level 3 or whatever had a problem 5-6 years ago. I mean, this is going to absolutely hammer the internet like a bull in a china shop. And yeah, when Google and Yahoo and all these establishment groups come out and say it's horrible, people better know this is super bad.
Yeah, there's a couple things I want to note too. I don't know anybody who's come out and said, yeah, I'm for piracy and stealing. None of these groups want to see intellectual property stolen. In fact, if you look at Google, I think in the past year they had 5 million plus DCMA takedown requests, and their average response time was a few hours. How could you ask them to do any better than they're doing now? And this bill would basically make a 13-year-old on YouTube singing their favorite song a criminal, and it's too much. And
you don't have the due process. That's the other big one, is that it's just all rammed through as a way to censor. It'll be selectively enforced. It's a nightmare. It's
the Patriot Act of the internet. It's one of the two. The other one, and I think it's important that we don't forget about it, because I know that SOPA is getting a lot of attention, but the Protect IP Act is already in the Senate. So, I don't just, go and encourage boycotts and go after the people that are supporting it. I do call senators, I do write letters, I do write emails, and, a lot of the times it might sound like it's going on deaf ears. But if you continually call and you bombard their phones and you get enough people to do it, you will catch their attention.
Well, I know you've been following this, Frederick, really closely. Where is the SOPA bill right now? Where's the IP Act, the Intellectual Property Act as well? Because I'm told it's on a knife's edge which way it's going to go.
Yeah, it really is. The SOPA, last time I checked, it was in the Judiciary Committee, was trying to bring it forward, and they keep on quoting that they need to get the nerds in there to talk about it, which I don't really think is a great term to use. But, here's one point I want to make. My grandmother's in her 60s, and she barely understands the internet. And the average age in Congress is around 60. And when you listen to these people talk about the bill that's in front of them, they don't understand what they're doing. They have no clue. And the definitions that they're using, they use them wrong many times, and they have no idea what they're talking about. There are a few senators that were out there. There was a Democrat from California that was asking for, let's bring in a couple third parties, let's bring in some experts to testify on it. But the Protect IP Act is much further along in the Senate, and to tell you the truth, I haven't checked on it, but I think somewhere around January 22nd or something, they're coming back into.
Sure. Let me expand on this. It came out a year ago that Obama has already agreed to sign on to the, quote, secret international copyright treaty, which basically mirrors SOPA. So this is global. This is affecting everybody. It's a plan. You're right. They don't fully understand it. But the technocrats that originally wrote it up for them know that it allows them to basically selectively ban IPs, do takedown orders across the web of search terms, shut people down for using certain copyright words. As you said, as a lot of analysts have pointed out, a kid sings a song, just the words, they can go to jail. It turns the Pentagon loose to operate in cyberspace against people. This is an old establishment. And I know a lot of, I have an IT operation. It's 90%, internet based and delivered. We're on a bunch of AM and FMs, but it's all originally around the internet. And I've been here doing this 16, 17 years. I have a bunch of IT people. I try to study it, and I know nothing compared to an IT person. I'm an idiot. And compared to these senators watching these hearings, they don't know their head from a hole in the ground. I mean, they don't know a bit and a byte, from kibbles and bits. I mean, they have no idea, and that's allowing the recording industry and the old media that's threatened by the new media to try to bring a new dark age in over the web. Now, I want to get your take on that, but then I want to expand into how your move that inspired so many others is now leading to a chain reaction of others becoming empowered and standing up against other arrogant companies.
Oh, yeah. Almost immediately after, they're in the same Reddit community, they started looking and they started evaluating what representatives would support this bill and how can we support their opposition. Unfortunately, Lamar Smith, in the district that he's in Texas, he's considered almost untouchable. Nobody's going to beat him because there's a lot of old-time, good old boys down there that support anything the guy does. But they have started selectively picking out candidates that they said, oh, well, we're going to money bomb your opponents and we're going to make an impact. And it was really like a realization that they have an effect. Which I think was probably the best part about it. I don't agree with everything that they're doing. I think they picked the wrong candidate to go after personally, but I do like the fact that they are trying and they are starting to come together more.
Exactly. People are taking action and getting out of their mind stupor, out of their trance. That's why resistance is victory, because then you learn as you fight. But take Lamar Smith. His district runs right up to South Austin. And I know him well. He always poses as this libertarian conservative. Nightmare legislation flows continually. He's one of the people the establishment goes to bring in really nasty bills. I know there are some folks locally who are actually planning on running against him. And so some really exciting things are starting to happen. But again, please continue with your overall view of where this is going after you finish on other things that are being inspired by what you and others have done.
Well, hopefully this is encouraging other people to say, I'm one person and I had an idea and the community ran with the idea. And this is something Ron Paul talks about all the time. I'm kind of sad on one end that at the end of this, if he doesn't become president, he's not going to be in the House anymore. But on the other hand side, he talks about ideas outliving people, and he's really running on the idea and getting more people behind him than ever.
It's about a philosophy. It's about a spirit of liberty, an alternative to tyranny and collectivism. And that's why he runs. Even if he loses, he wins. We get the word out. We win. We move the ball down the field. In this modern mind control system, they want to teach you that